Hello and welcome to another episode of Disney Movie Investigation. If this is your first time watching, welcome to the show. Each week we take a look at a movie that is featured on Disney+. On this episode, we are taking a look at the 2008 epic drama Australia, starring Nicole Kidman and Hugh Jackman. And if you are liking these videos, please do hit that subscribe button. That way you'll be notified with each new video. But for now, sit back and enjoy this episode of Disney Movie Investigation. So like I said, today we are covering Australia. This movie was released on November 18th, 2008. It was directed by Baz Luherman. The screenplay was by Baz Luherman, Ronald Harwood, Stuart Beattie, and Richard Flanagan. And the production companies was a collaboration between Basmark Films Australia, Indigenous Films, and Screen West, with 20th Century Fox being the distributor. The budget for this movie was $130 million, and it did a box office return of $211.3 million. So let's take a look at the development. So originally Baz Luhrmann was looking to do an epic film based on Alexander the Great, starring Nicole Kidman and Leonardo DiCaprio, but Oliver Stone unfortunately beat him to it, so the project was abandoned. Luhrmann wanted to then create a film that was set in his homeland of Australia, and Luhrmann actually spent 6 months researching the history of Australia. He wanted to explore the relationship between England and the indigenous population. He did decide to set the film between World War I and World War II in order to merge the historical romance with Stolen Generations, where thousands of Aboriginal or mixed-race Aboriginal children were taken away from their homes and integrated into white society. So in terms of casting, in May of 2005, it was announced that the leading players would be Nicole Kidman and Russell Crowe. However, Russell Crowe would demand script approval and several script changes, which frustrated Baz Luhrmann. So he decided to replace Russell Crowe with Heath Ledger. Unfortunately, Heath Ledger turned down the role to appear in The Dark Knight, and Ledger would be replaced with Hugh Jackman. So filming occurred in Australia with huge government assistance, and all of the sets were built from scratch. Filming was set to begin in March of 2007, but it was delayed an entire month to begin just at the beginning of May. At the same time, Nicole Kidman found out that she was pregnant, and this caused a lot of problems as filming in Australia, the temperatures were as high as 43 degrees Celsius, and this caused Kidman to faint on horse several times. Also, Kidman was working 14 to 15-hour days while also dealing with morning sickness associated with pregnancy. Problems also arose when the Faraday Downs set was washed out due to a flood, and the horses of the production went into lockdown because of equine flu. In terms of the costume design, Catherine Martin was hired to do the costumes, and she studied archival photographs along with interviewing original Darwin Stockman, as she used Asian-inspired costumes which were meant to inspire romanticism. She would go on to be nominated for this film for an Academy Award. In terms of the ending, Luhrmann would reshoot the ending as a result of studio pressure due to bad test screenings, and in order to contradict the negative reports, Nicole Kidman and Hugh Jackman actually went on the Oprah Winfrey Show to promote the movie. Tourism Western Australia also was promoting the movie, and also they spent $1 million on a campaign to tie in the movie with Tourism Australia. They created a campaign titled See the Movie, See the Country. This campaign included movie maps as well as location guides to transform the film into a real-life adventure. Baz Luhrmann also made $50 million worth of commercials to promote his homeland of Australia. So let's take a look at the cast. So we have Nicole Kidman, who plays Lady Sarah Ashley, Hugh Jackman, who plays the Drover, David Wenham, who plays Neil Fletcher, Brian Brown, who plays King Carney, Jack Thompson, who plays Kipling Flynn, and Brandon Walters, who plays Nala. So in terms of the plot, the movie is set in 1939 when aristocrat Lady Sarah Ashley travels from her homeland in England down to Australia for her farm that she has inherited from her husband, Fairway Downs. she discovers that her ranch hand, Neil Fletcher, is working against her and scaring the cattle off of into the neighboring cattle ranch run by King Carney. This is all, so Sarah Ashley must then work with Hugh Jackman to transport the cattle in order to save the farm. So there's not a lot of trivia or anything to this movie. It's kind of basically just basically an epic movie that's really breathtaking. So in terms of recommending this movie, I think it's great. I think it's underrated because it kind of went under the radar. The story feels big and the characters are really well developed. Love the visuals. It really captures the beauty of Australia and putting into context what life was like at that time. One of the motifs throughout the movie is the Wizard of Oz, especially the Over the Rainbow song, where Lady Sarah Ashley sings it to the Aboriginal child. I think this is a great motif. I think it's really well done, and it is able to capture a connection between the two of them. My only negative of the movie is it is a bit long. After the cattle drive, the story kind of peters out a little bit, but then it recaptures it towards the end. So maybe even like 15 to 20 minutes shorter would have been better. But again, that's such a minor criticism. Definitely recommend this movie if you haven't seen it. Great acting from Hugh Jackman and Nicole Kidman. Definitely a huge chemistry there. So thank you so much for joining us here on Disney Movie Investigation. Please leave a comment below if you like the movie Australia and what you think of it. So in terms of our next episode, we are going to be taking a look at a modern animated favorite as we take a look at Pixar's Luca. So until next time, I hope you have a magical day, and we will see you real soon.